there's nothing getting between this team and that gold medal. It was, at that point, the team had worked so hard. Obviously, things can go wrong, but that was our moment. And there was nothing that was going to get between the gold medal and that team because they were so driven.
Hi everybody, Todd Jason here, and welcome to another amazing episode of Untapped. And today I am really excited, and I know Lauren is too, because we have a GOAT in the house. And if you don't know what that term means, it means greatest of all time. And we're going to get to an incredible interview with Tara VanDerveer, who was a coach at Stanford women's basketball for almost 30 years. And she won 3 championships and had this incredible career, and is actually the winningest coach of all time in college basketball history, men's or women's. So you might have heard of Mike Krzyzewski or Pat Summitt in women's basketball, or Dean Smith. Well, Tara has actually won more games than all of them. And she also coached at the Olympics, and she's had this incredible career. But even more than that, she speaks incredibly to coaching and how to unlock potential. And that's been the secret of her success. So we're just really excited to be having this opportunity, Tara, to talk with you. And I just want to go ahead and invite you into the conversation so we can get right to some of the good stuff. So thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, thank you so much. So happy to have you. Our mutual dear friend, Glenn Cramon, also a guest on our podcast, and such incredible things to say about your profound wisdom and insight. So I've been very much looking forward to today. For our first question, wanted to ask, you've reached such incredible heights in your career, as Todd mentioned, but what I find equally inspiring is the fulfillment and joy you found along the way. What would you say is your secret to hitting this sweet spot of success and fulfillment that can feel elusive to so many of us?
Lauren, again, it's a pleasure to be here and talking to you. And it is fun to have this joint friendship with Glenn and so many people at the Stanford Business School. I guess I never really thought of basketball as work. So I feel so fortunate to be a coach and doing things I just really like. And then it was great that they paid me to do it. It's going to the gym, it's being around young people. It was just fun. And I think by keeping it fun and not making it tedious was really good for our team too. So it's just something I really enjoy. I love watching video. Just today, I was working on teaching a class, a basketball class in the winter, and I'm learning more about basketball than I ever knew. So it's always just really interesting to me.
I love that. I do career coaching, and what I always recommend to folks is to find what you love, find what really gives you energy, because then it's not work, and then you go above and beyond. I've heard in other interviews, you're like, I'd read all the books and watch all the games, and part of success is immersing yourself in what you're doing to understand it. But when you love it, as you do, as you've shared, that's so much easier to do.
One of the people I know from Stanford and I was cheering for is Katie Ledecky, who is obviously a top Olympic swimmer, the most decorated female swimmer in our history. And I get a kick out of the fact that on her day off, she likes to go to the pool. She goes swimming. And so that's something that when you have a limited number of days on this planet and when you want to spend each day the way you want to spend it, and to really do it with things, spend the time on what you like. So for me, I feel like I've done that and I'm doing that.
I love that. Was it a hard decision? I know you were maybe going to law school or becoming a lawyer and then switched, or did it just happen naturally of its own accord?
I loved basketball since I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. We did 3-player weave and gym class, and I'm like, I was crazy about this sport, and I always wanted to play. But there weren't teams for girls when I was growing up, so it was challenging. And my parents never really understood why I was so crazy about basketball. I can't explain it either, but I read all the books in the library. I was always playing all the time, and my parents were like, hey, come on in and do your algebra homework. Basketball is never going to take you anywhere. So I didn't ever really plan to have a career in basketball. But after I graduated from college, the Title IX had passed, and Title IX was a game changer for women's sports. And with Title IX, then came along opportunities for women to play and to coach. And that's how I fell into it backwards. So I started coaching my sister's team in high school. And from there, it was just, I had the bug, and I'm like, wow, this is fun.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think that story is so interesting because it's often against the grain to just follow what you love. But sometimes the universe opens up doorways that you weren't expected. And that allowed you to flow into this career. And I've heard you say something really interesting where you said that you noticed that the success that you've had in helping others and coaching others be great, which you've had a lot of that success, has been related to or even amplified by the amount of support and coaching and assistance that you've been getting. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Basketball was invented as, always has been, and I believe always will be a team sport. And so I've never accomplished anything individually, whether it's working with the great teams I've worked with, the great players I have. I've always worked with fabulous assistant coaches. I've been fortunate to work for excellent administrators. My parents and family have always been really supportive. So I've never felt like I ever played an individual sport or that coaching was an individual sport. And the support that I've gotten from people, I guess I want to pay it forward and do the same thing for other, whether it's young coaches or even people and other things. And I reach out and try to learn and copy excellence in other people. And it doesn't even have to be basketball. Like I'll go watch other sports and try to learn from what they're doing and watch and talk to different coaches. Or I think, Lauren, we talked this before we were recording about my piano teacher. I was a student for my piano teacher and I learned, I think, how to be a better coach from being a student, trying to put it all together and just always trying to maximize whatever I can learn to be a more effective coach.
We study the most successful people, how some are able to unlock their potential. And I think one aspect of that is seeing the greatness in others and what they do. And what you mentioned about your piano teacher is that you had one who wasn't able to bring out your greatness, right? He was just okay. And then when you switched teachers, it was a big unlock. So I'm curious, what was the difference with the second teacher? What did she do that you felt really helped you?
I played the flute as a young girl and I had some really good teachers, but then I had a teacher that she was really a phenomenal flute player, but I didn't connect with her. I never liked going to my lessons. I felt always unprepared at my lesson, no matter how much I practiced. I never felt she was positive. She was always like, you should be doing this. You should. And I actually quit the flute. And then when I wanted to play the piano, I thought I could teach myself. And after 2 weeks, I realized that was not going to work. So I did some research to ask some top people in music around Stanford, who is the best piano teacher. And people said, oh, this person you've got to have. So her name is Jody Gandolfi. And I contacted Jody, really confident that I could just take lessons. And she said, well, I don't take beginners. So I had to really convince her that it was going to be worthwhile. And it was a phenomenal experience. And just how patient she was, how exacting she was, but in a really positive way. And I loved the lessons I took. And what I learned from Jody was that she was a great coach for me. And as a great coach, you can take someone somewhere they can't get to by themselves. And I was doing CDs like after 1 year and people would say, wow, just how did you do this? And I said, I have a great teacher. And the combination of her teaching ability, her knowledge, and probably my receptiveness, I was just so excited about taking lessons from her and looking forward to my lessons and wanting to do a good job that just not have her think, oh, I took on a dud. I guess I didn't want to be a dud.
What's so interesting is we have you on this line. We're again so grateful, someone who's accomplished so much in coaching. And a lot of what we talked about so far has been your open-mindedness to get help and support, to look at other disciplines, to just be open-minded and say there's wisdom in all these different areas. And I'm just curious. I'm going to take that in and I'm going to do what I'm called to do because I have a passion for basketball, which I think relates to your success. And I'm wondering, I've heard you also say something else pretty interesting around be a great teammate. It's a mantra that you had while you were coaching, which connotes training your players to celebrate the success of others, which I also heard you talk about creates a unique type of culture that in your case has led to a lot of great success. Can you speak more about that philosophy of living and being to help others and celebrate the wins of others?
Well, a lot of times in the world that we live in, it's about me, and a branding of my success. And again, I think that in basketball and in life, it's a team sport where we are not here by ourselves. And I totally enjoy the team aspect of everything. Like just even with my piano, I love playing duets probably more than solos. I love the collaboration of people working together to maybe solve problems or to create music. And in coaching, like I just try to draw on every situation that I'm in to figure out ways that I can be better and help other people maximize their potential. For me, that's fun. And I really enjoy that. But I'm also, I think I'm open to trying new things and learning from other people. And that just seems to be the way that's worked for me.
Definitely, the openness makes sense that what that would contribute to success, and then having this giver's mentality. The most successful and fulfilled people I know, similar to Glenn, are just they're really there to serve, right? You want to bring out the best in others and support others. And you've talked about you great coaches really people feel like you have their back, right? You're so there and you so care for them. Can you share a little more about that, what you found?
Let me come back to this. I'm not even sure I answered your question very well, Todd, but being a great teammate. So, like, let's say I'm coaching a team and I'm looking at the picture of the gym, and winning is fun. It's great to go to the game and your team, but it's not about necessarily winning. It's how people feel about each other. And just winning a game and you go in the locker room and let's say, Todd, you're upset because Lauren took more shots than you did or whatever. I didn't play you as much as you should. But you want to have this synergy. The great teammate is someone that no matter, I use the orchestra analogy that no matter how many minutes you played, you're excited because our team did well and maybe Lauren had a great game. And that takes maturity for young people and it also is challenging when their parents are in the stands, all they're watching is their own kid. And it takes a really mature parent and mature player to put your team first and be really an unselfish, great teammate. And that's something that is really fun when your team is really successful. And one of the things that this may be a little bit off track, but I think the great teammates that I've seen, they start with having a sisterhood. And we've had like 3 sets of sisters on our team. And when your sister's on your team, when you have this relationship that is so deep to begin with, you're not upset when your sister does really well. And so we try to work with our team to have it be a true sisterhood, even though people might not be biologically related, where the 3 of us on a team, like if Todd has a great game, we're excited. And if Lauren, you have a great game, I'm excited. And if I have a great game, you're both really happy for me. And that to me is great teammates that are unselfish and really focused on your team's accomplishment. And this is interesting, I think, too, during the Olympics right now, where you have these team sports like our women's basketball or men's basketball. You have LeBron and KD, and you've got all these great players, or you've got players that are Diana Taurasi or Asia Wilson. I mean, they've got to be unselfish. And they're used to being the star, and now you have to sometimes play a different role. And that to me is when great teams, when you really enjoy the experience, when you have that kind of mentality.
Makes so much sense. I was just thinking, I watched the David Beckham documentary. Clearly an incredible player, goes to Real Madrid with all the best players, but they lacked team cohesion. And he was having a hard time internally, and then they were interpersonally, and they weren't doing that well. They didn't perform that well. And so I think what you've talked about is we often think, oh, if we have success and we win, then we'll be happy and have fun. Then we'll be connected. But it's actually the other way around, right? We had fun, we feel good, we have team cohesion, we care about each other. And then that to greater success.
I agree with that. And sometimes your success, the success of a team, if your team is losing, that's hard on everybody. But I think that sometimes still people can stay together and weather that storm and then can be, again, improve. And then next year maybe be better. But if your team's winning and people are unhappy, it's a miserable experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got to say, what you're sharing is so powerful because I'm a huge sports fan. I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm a huge basketball fan. I know your career very, very well. And I actually really find that watching sport, I played sports as well, but watching it as I've gotten older, not a professional athlete, is really, if it offers an opportunity for us to understand how to be great in our lives. So when you talk about sisterhood or brotherhood and the culture of a team coming together, it's not just about what happens on the court, right? It's also how we find success in these other areas of our lives, which is what we found in studying all types of people who have achieved greatness, not just in sport, but outside of that. But in sport, it's so direct, right? And so we talk about the Olympics and Katie Ledecky, and I just cry every time someone wins a gold medal. I'm like waterworks. It's like this crazy thing. My wife and I, we just sit there, someone wins that gold medal, Tara, and I'm just like, man, like they get that elation. And then you see like after the elation, then they start to cry and you realize years of this hard work and dedication and commitment. And you just won a 10-second race by 0.01 seconds over somebody else. I have the goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Like, and I think it just shows us an example of greatness. Now, my question to you is, look, you're someone who's experienced that. You've actually experienced becoming the winningest coach of all time when you passed Pat Summitt, and you've experienced going to the Olympics and having that experience. Sometimes when I'm watching and I'm thinking, man, I wish we could all have that feeling of putting that gold medal around us. I think it would be so helpful for us to feel that big win. What is it like? We have you on the phone. I got to know, what is that experience like to feel that greatness and actually get a physical embodied experience of it?
It's pretty exciting. I will say that as a coach, you don't get a gold medal putting over your head because only the players get the gold medals, but you have the satisfaction of seeing your team get a gold medal. There's a certain amount of, like for the Olympics, there's a certain amount of just, pure joy and also relief because the pressure that's on these athletes, especially I think American athletes in certain sports to win. But it's a lot of it also comes back to the closeness that you have with your team and the players and the staff that you work with. And I just spent last week with one of my assistant coaches from the Olympics. She came and visited my house and we're taking dog walks together. And we worked together 28 years ago and we're still great friends. So the friendships that you make are probably much, much more long lasting. And I will say this about our USA team. We have a thread, a text message thread, and the team is incredibly close. And I think part of the reason they're close is because of how hard they had to work to win a gold medal and the sacrifices they've made. And the sacrifices that these athletes make are just incredible. So your tears are justified.
Mhm. So beautiful. And since Todd mentioned the Olympics, I have to ask you about my favorite story that you tell. I've already told so many people about this. Leading up to the 96 Olympics, you talked about feeling a lot of pressure. Everyone's saying, you better bring home gold, you better win. So there's pressure. There's probably a little bit of worry or fear. What if I don't? And then you had a realization that helped get you through that. Can you tell us that story? You're on your run and what followed? Yeah.
Actually, August 4th, a couple days ago, was the 28th, kind of our celebration of the 28th anniversary of winning a gold medal. And so we knew that August 4th, 1996 was the gold medal game. And when you're at the training center in Colorado Springs, there's a big clock that ticks down the days. You look at 440 days, like, who cares? That's way out there. And then it's down to 200 days or 100 days. And pretty soon it's 30 days. And you're like, wow, this thing is really going to happen. Well, a year on August 4th, 1995, I did go for a run. And I have a hill by my house I call Olympic Hill. And I ran up the hill and I got home and I had a really great run. Then I got in the shower and I was thinking, oh my gosh, like a year from today is the gold medal game. And I just started having like a panic attack. I'm like, oh my God, what if we're not in that game? Or what if we don't win that game? And I just had to sit down and talk to myself and just say, you know what you're doing. You've got a great team. The only thing that stands between you and winning the gold medal is doubt and negativity. So get back in the shower and wash it down the drain. And I said I did a double rinse like this. From then on, I just really focused on never having any negative thoughts about winning the gold medal, but in fact, looking forward to that day, looking forward to competing with that team. And I think it really helped me a lot, just like having a little pep talk for myself in the shower. And I just made a decision then and there that I was just going to enjoy that year. And we won the gold medal. Our last game was against Brazil and we beat them. I had to look this up, but we beat them 111-87, which was a great win. After the Olympics, I got a beautiful letter from Coach Knight and Coach Wooden, two of the most outstanding coaches in the history of basketball, and just how well the team played and the records that are still standing from that team. And it was a phenomenal year. And I think it was really helpful just for me to frame it the way then I could enjoy it.
I love that part. I love that part so much because sometimes we do have everything that's required, but the thing that gets in our way is our own doubt.
So, yeah.
Ourselves.
Right.
And we're able to move through that and quiet that voice or do a double rinse, right? It's like we really do become unstoppable and have so much potential. So I just love that.
And you got a letter from Coach John Wooden. Did you say that?
I did.
Yeah.
It was the return address had these little Bichon dogs. And I saw Wooden. I'm like, wow.
That's great.
I don't keep a whole lot, but I've got that letter somewhere.
Oh, you got to frame that thing. Like,
Yeah.
that is, I mean, if you don't know John Wooden, I mean, one of the greats of all time, right? I don't know how many championships he won down at UCLA.
Yeah, 11 or 12.
11 or 12 in a row, I think. Coach Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then Bill Walton, but he was very similar to you. It was very similar. I've read his biography, and it's similar in terms of getting control of your mindset. And just when you made that commitment to yourself in the shower, because what I was thinking was, well, okay, I'm going to just let go of my fear and negativity. I'm just going to enjoy myself. Was that just easier said than done? Or did the fear and the worry pop up along the way and you're constantly working on dissolving it? Or for you, was it like, once I got that, I'm able just to flow with it and fully let go?
It was almost like a physical thing of this negativity and worry just going down the drain. And when I said it to myself, and I just really had to get on a different path than being anxious about it. And when we were at the Olympics on August 4th, 1996, I was talking with my sister and she said, "Oh my gosh, Mom had 3 desserts." I go, "What? Why is she eating 3 desserts?" And she said, "I think she's really worried about the game." And I said, don't let her worry. We've worked really hard. There's nothing getting between this team and that gold medal. It was at that point, the team had worked so hard and obviously things can go wrong, but that was our moment. And there was nothing that was going to get between the gold medal and that team because they were so driven.
I love that. My friend has an analogy. It's like there's different stations we can tune into. And so often we're tuned into worry, fear, doubt. So tune into a different station of certainty and trust and that level of focus that you're speaking about.
It was, I mean, it happened 28 years ago, but honestly, I can remember so much about what we did and how we did it. And it was a lot of it too. Like I would be running and some of it was wanting to have the right team and knowing what we needed and being able to really talk about things with whether it was my assistant coaches or we had a woman that I ran with every other day. And I think I vented a little bit. So it wasn't like just was hunky dory. I did have things that I had to work through, but it was a really exciting and fun year.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad we got to bring that out because it's just the energy of that, the joy.
Yeah.
And of course, you remember every moment of it. It's legendary what you guys did. So it's just so cool. I want to switch gears and actually ask you something because you did talk before. You mentioned there are times when you have a losing team and there are times when you don't win everything. And so as a coach, when those moments come up, and this is really just life lessons, right? How do you think about that? How do we navigate these challenging times and these challenging moments where everything isn't in flow and we're not winning all the time? How did you deal with that along your path?
I think probably number one, in the back of my mind, I always had confidence that things would turn around, that I was optimistic that even if we're in a storm, but the sun is going to come out, and just a way that getting through whatever it was we're going to get through this. To be able to look in the mirror when you're going through the hard times and be yourself and be proud of yourself and not think that you're going to be a different person when things are going well, that you're the same person, and that just to enjoy the journey, that the struggles make you better, they make you tougher, they You learn things. What I would always just try to do is figure out ways to be better. If we lost a game, learn from it and get better. And develop, I say develop routines that would help our team so that we're not like, everything's great when we win a game and everything's horrible if we lose a game. But just to really look at, we would do what we call a goal sheet. We would do individual feedback for people. We would look at a highlight tape, no matter if we won or we lost. And then we'd look at a teaching tape so that we're always trying to be the best version of ourselves. And sometimes, like with a team, you're not that good. You just got to wait until the players either mature, you recruit some better players, you have better chemistry on the team. There's all these different things that are going on. And sometimes you have to just wait it out.
One question I'm interested in is, you said in 2023, the team wasn't performing as well. There maybe wasn't that cohesion. And that's when you brought in Kristen Moss and she did back on track. I'm curious, what were the top one or two things you say she did that helped create that transformation?
Well, last year not this past year, but the year before in 2023, I thought we probably had too much talent on our team, and we had 15 players and we were still coming out of the pandemic, and we had players that maybe you could play an extra year. And we were in a situation where we didn't play as well as we should. And it wasn't as much fun as we wanted it to be. And for whatever reasons that happened, going into this past year, I wanted to have a better year. And so I tried to identify some things that we needed. And we actually worked with, I'm going to say I'm going to call them consultants. And Kirsten Moss was one of the consultants. She was the dean of admissions at the business school. And so Kirsten, her specialty is leadership. And we identified leadership as one of the team, focus on improving our leadership with our team. And we also worked on two other issues with two other people. But Kirsten met with our team. She did a kind of a customized leadership class for our team. And I think that with great leadership on your team, you can overcome some maybe less talented team. And we probably had, quote, less talent this past year, but I think we really improved our leadership with the help of Kirsten. And she not only worked with our team, but she spent a lot of time with me and with our coaches. And so it's something that honestly, I wish that I'd met her 30 years ago, but I'm really thankful for her time. And also we worked with Fred Luskin. He teaches at Stanford. He's a happiness professor. And we also worked with Lithcott Hames, who was a freshman dean at Stanford. And between these three people, and obviously we made some changes in our coaching staff and our regular staff. And I think we got a much better cohesive staff. And then I think that trickled down to our team. And we were really focused on specific things. We worked on with our team, what a team pact. And that I thought was very helpful for our team. We just tried some new things. And obviously we had a really successful team. We won the Pac-12. I went on to play in the NCAA tournament, and I wish we'd gone further. Sometimes we had a great year, and so I was happy with that.
Yeah, so you're implementing structures, you're getting help from outside, and it's showing the improvement. I thought it was interesting when you said, well, we had almost too much talent a couple of years back. Sometimes that doesn't help. It's not just about talent, is it? Like there's other things, and that's what coaching is, right? It's understanding the energy flow of it. And so I want to ask you a question because you just retired this year, right? You've had this massively successful career, right? 3 championships, Olympic gold medal, a lot of glory. And now you've made a big transition. And I think in our experience, Laura and I in coaching, people have trouble making transitions. We often don't go through them gracefully. I'm curious how you're holding this life transition for you. Yes, we want to know what's next for you, but also just energetically, how is it for you to be able to let go of this incredible career and then move on? Were you ready for it? Was there some consternation? How's it been for you?
I think that anytime you make probably as big a change, you're not going to do it suddenly. So it was something that I thought about. And I told our athletic director, I said, I would bet you every coach, only one coach wins a national championship. So of the over 30 years that I coached almost as a head coach in college, over 45 years, I probably quit 42 times. So you get to the end of the year, you're exhausted. you're just totally down to the nubs. But this year, I knew with a lot of the change that's going on in collegiate sports, whether it's a portal, whether it's NIL, whether it's new conference realignment, that the time was right. And more so, I would have been selfish, I think, of me to continue because I didn't feel like I had the energy and the enthusiasm that is needed. And I'm really fortunate that one of my associate head coach, Kate Pay, is ready and she is more than ready and she's going to do a fabulous job. And but for me, I think I took I don't want to say the chicken's way out, but I retired, but I'm still working in the athletic department. So I didn't do that total jump off the cliff. I have this really nice parachute of working with coaches, working with the athletic department, working on possible books, movies, things like that, opportunities to do corporate speaking, Stanford speaking. And I'm loving it. I have felt no regret of what I've done. I've enjoyed every single day and I'm busy and I'm very happy and I'm reading a lot of books. So that's fun too. Instead of spending time recruiting and going back to Stanford and been water skiing a lot and sailing and really just enjoying my time.
I love that
idea of follow the energy is what I tell clients, right? So you had so much energy for it. In 2023, the energy in the team maybe wasn't there, but you had the insight to know it's how we're coming together. We just needed outside help. And then you realize I don't have the same energy anymore, but it was actually because you were needing to then transition or rewire, as you said, not retire, that now your energy was really 4 different things, which is maybe speaking and sharing insights and wisdom. And so being willing to move and follow that energy, I think is such a valuable skill to have.
I think also I read Kirsten actually recommended a book to me that I thought was good. Like 4,000 weeks is what we can maybe have for our lives. And you want to enjoy your life too. And I thoroughly enjoy coaching, but it's incredibly demanding. It's 24/7, it's 365 days a year. And I just felt like there's more to there. I want to experience more, whether I've traveled a lot, but it's work. I've been all over the world, but coaching. And maybe when I watch the Olympics, I think I'd like to go to Paris for fun and do things. And like, even when I was at the Olympics, my mom we're in the suite that I was in and I was watching television. I said, wouldn't it be fun to go to the Olympics? And she's like, Tara, you're at the Olympics, but when you're coaching and you're working, it's different than enjoying things. So I think that in addition to doing fun things like that are part of your career, whether it's speaking or books or that kind of thing, you want to have fun yourself. You want to travel and just enjoy things. So that I figured out that but you're not going to live forever and I want to enjoy it.
and really taking away 3 main things from you and like the qualities that you naturally embody, but also the ones that you've cultivated and have also used to help others achieve greatness in their lives. And the first one is having this optimistic, positive view about things, meaning that we're on this roller coaster ride of life, but I'm always going to try to look towards the silver lining. And so staying in that and then giving that to others, which tends to relax us. And the second one is the patience, right? Meaning that it may not all happen at once. And we may go through a tough time, but I'm actually going to like stay with it. And I'm not going to change who I am. In fact, in these tougher times, you said it before, I'm going to stay even more authentic with who I am. And I'm going to slow down and I'm going to know that things are going to change and I'm just going to ride this wave out. So it's really beautiful. And then the third piece is the relationship piece. Everything came back to your joy of having relationships and building relationships and fostering others to strengthen their relationships. And you found success through building that cultural energetic through basketball and through your teams. I'm just curious, does that land well for you, that summary of these 3 qualities? I see you smiling, but I just want to check in.
I think sometimes it's hard to psychoanalyze yourself to understand what makes you tick, but I feel like I am a people person. And I think we probably all have regrets that maybe there's certain times you could not connect with people that you wanted to or would have helped you. I don't sit on any throne and think I've led this perfect life, but I can look in the mirror and say, I have really tried hard to be the best I can be for other people. And I want to I start with my family. I'm really close to my siblings, and my mom is still living. My dad's passed away, but just doing people right, trying to do them right. And then you always think like, but I could do more. I could do more. I could be better. You work within yourself of saying, well, God, I could have done better. So I kind of work in that mode a lot. So if I do want to help people be the best basketball players and now helping different coaches, it is fun for me to see other people be successful. I like that. And I do definitely deal with more optimism. I hope I'm a glass more than half full person, not a half empty person.
I'm also struck by you use the word fun quite a bit. And I would say that's one secret to success. And it's clear that you really bring that to your team and just to your way of being in the world, which gives you not only success, but you're enjoying the journey along the way. And I think a lot of folks, whether it's at work or in their relationships, can struggle to have fun. What is your secret to that? How do you think about bringing fun in your own life or to your team?
I just say, turn up the music. Like I don't know. I like to have music on in the gym. I like things, I don't say loose in a bad way, but hey, we're going to work hard, but we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to maximize our time together, whether it's in basketball practice or just, I don't know, just being around people. I like to learn about people and like what makes them tick, and just, I don't know. I just like being happy.
That's good. That's great.
It beats the alternative of being down and being negative. And so I don't like to be around people that are negative or unhappy. It's just, life's too short.
Yeah.
Yeah, your friend Glenn, when we interviewed him, he did this beautiful thing where he looks at everybody. He goes, here's my secret to happiness: end toxic relationships. He's like, that was it. And it was very, very profound and beautiful. So we're almost time here. I know we have limited time and we're so grateful. And Lauren, I don't know if you have any other pertinent questions. I would love to ask you a couple of fun basketball questions. Tara, while I got you on the phone, as I told you, I'm a big basketball fan. I would just love to pick your brain on a couple of things, especially in women's basketball right now, which you are retiring, but it's also really exploding right now, especially with Caitlin Clark coming in and going into the WNBA, and a really interesting reaction that actually happened. There's a lot more spotlight now on women's basketball and Caitlin Clark. What are your thoughts about that whole issue in general?
I think Caitlin Clark is a phenomenal player. And what I really, really respect about her and admire is how the more pressure the game, the bigger the game, the better she plays. And I really think that she has, not single-handedly, but she has brought a great spotlight to women's basketball. There might be a lot of people that were not women's basketball fans until they watched her play or they heard about her. And I'm like, more power to what she's doing. And I've met Caitlin. I've had dinner with her family or her mom and dad. And I think she's an incredible competitor. I'm personally a Caitlin Clark fan. And I think that what she's bringing to the WNBA is fabulous. Crowds, enthusiasm, more visibility, and it's opening more doors and opportunities for young women.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's gonna bring so much more energy to the WNBA. It almost reminds me when Tiger Woods came in golf, when there was a lot of consternation about him, but look what happened. How much more.
I think it's similar to that.
I do. I think it is. Okay, so what about, you're a GOAT. I called you a GOAT at the beginning, greatest of all time, the most wins of all time. Who are name a couple of names in women's basketball that you would consider those are the greatest players that I ever saw play?
The greatest players there might be some that you've never heard of. One of them, McLean, was on our Olympic team. She's fabulous. She's probably one of the best players ever. She was funny. Like, we would play, if we were playing an easy team, she didn't want to play. If we were playing against the Russians or the guys, she would be unbelievable. She was really, really good. Phenomenal player, Olympian, played at Georgia. I would say Cheryl Miller is an absolute phenom. You've heard of her. The Olympic team that I coached with Jennifer Azzi, Ruthie Bolton, Holyfield, Dawn Staley, Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops. They're just fabulous players. And I think at Stanford, Nneka Ogwumike, Chiney Ogwumike, Jane Appel, Candace Wiggins, 4-time All-American, Sonia Henning. And I would include also a player, for me, someone like a Krista Rappahan. She's a doctor now, but never started until her senior year. Jillian Harmon, a great teammate. Just so many players. Kate Starbird was just a phenom. So many players, just not that not only they're great players, but they're great teammates. So that's, for me, the definition of a great player is players that make others around them better. And having a player that really gets it at a higher level. But it's really fun to coach a great player that's a great teammate, that's a great worker and a great leader. You're crying when you're done coaching them.
Perfect storm. Yeah. I love that. It's so beautiful that we're getting who you think. And what about in men's basketball? I just got to find out, like, are you a Michael Jordan person? Do you think he's the greatest?
I mean, he's obviously a great talent. I'm a Steph Curry fan. I love how Steph plays and is really joyful. LeBron is phenomenal. I grew up watching someone like Pete Maravich and Calvin Murphy. They go way back. And I went to Indiana, so I loved watching the men's teams there with Quinn Buckner and Kent Benson, Scott May, just the great former Bill Walton, great teams. I love basketball, period. It wouldn't matter to me if Martians were playing.
But Larry Bird, you're in Indiana. You didn't mention
Larry
him.
Bird, for sure. Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's so many great players. One of the greatest guys Charles Barkley is just, he's fabulous. But some of it is getting to know them as people, and he's a really special person.
Oh, you got to hang out with Charles. That was so much fun. What
Yeah,
a personality.
he's fun. He's fun.
Remember him playing? You couldn't stop that guy. He would get that rebound and go down.
Round mound of rebound.
Round
Yeah.
mound of rebound.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fabulous.
Yes. It's interesting you say Steph Curry. In some ways, and we've been living in this LeBron era, it's like he changed the game more than anybody.
Yeah, shooting that 3-point shot.
Just a 3-point shot. Yeah, he was shooting it. It looks like almost with his eyes closed from like 35 feet out, and it just goes in.
He's incredibly talented. He's incredibly talented. So we're really lucky to be in the Bay Area and watch him.
Agreed. He's freakishly talented. I'm just grateful I had a chance to geek out with basketball with you. I could do this for like another hour, but Lauren's sitting there. Okay, Todd.
That's great. I'm actually curious. Would you say that there's quality that they all share? Is it hunger, focus, resilience? Have you noticed a theme among all the great?
Obviously, they have maybe different personalities, but I would say discipline. Great players are really disciplined. They enjoy the process of getting better. They're not satisfied. They always want to get better. They're also great players that I've coached are unselfish and in a team sport. They're hardworking, and they're people that I think there's a certain amount of talent in terms of their athleticism, their work ethic, and their discipline. I think really separate them.
Makes sense.
Yeah, from my experience, I would say that even Steph Curry, you think that, he's just this great shooter. No, I mean, that guy has more jump shots than anyone probably in the history.
Well, they put in the time, and sports is not like instant oatmeal. I call it steel cut, slow cooking. If you want to be great at anything, it's not going to happen overnight. You've got to enjoy the process of getting better. You've got to enjoy the journey. And that's something that, like, I feel like I've enjoyed the coaching journey, and I really, really loved it.
Yeah. Such wisdom there. And I think we're at time, and I just want to close out. I know, Lauren, you want to say some words, but Tara, it's been incredible to get to know you. I could spend another hour with you geeking out on players and games and things, because I'm just like you. I'm a huge basketball fan. But I think more importantly, it's just been like the wisdom of, like, you really experienced greatness in your career, and it's visibly shown with championships and medals. And to be able to get that wisdom here is really what we're about, is trying to understand how we can take that in our lives and use that to find our own levels of greatness. So thank you. There's been a lot of wisdom here, and we just really appreciate it. And we'll get this out far and wide. And I look forward to seeing your next stages in your own evolution. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, likewise, I'll just end and say, I also really appreciate the wisdom. And I think just knowing how important, as you said, relationships are, and really supporting others and maintaining optimism, and despite setbacks, still staying true to who you are, and just so many gems today that no matter what career we're in, this even applies to marriages, relationships with our kids. It's true across the board that those best practices apply. always focused on getting better and improving yourself, being process oriented, not just results focused, like all of these things it's such profound wisdom. So such a gift to have you with us, and so grateful.
My pleasure. Great to be able to get to know and talk to both of you. And